My guest today is one of the best photographers in the world who works with many rock star and horror movie actor. He is also the guy behind the book Daughter of Darkness. Please welcome Jeremy Saffer. Hey Jeremy, how are you?
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
The pleasure is for me. First, how did you become photographer and who introduced you to this kind of art?
So I started off in bands. I didn't start off as a photographer. I was a musician, so I was a guitarist, and I would always play shows with bigger bands and take photos to show, hey, we played with this awesome band. The promoter who put on all the shows locally hired me to start shooting all the shows, not just for him, but also for a larger company called Mass Concerts that run all the shows kind of in the New England area, a lot of them. So I was kind of shooting concerts for fun since I was about 15 or 16 years old. And then when I went to college, Berkeley School of Music, and I started not really liking playing music as much as I loved doing photo stuff. So the same person, Scott Lee, who hired me on to shoot locally to do those live shows, I kind of sat down with him and I was like, dude, I don't know what to do. I'm not liking music anymore. That's all I've known since I was 12. What should I do? And he's just like, well, what do you like to do? I was like, take pictures. He goes, do that. Like he saw that in me, and I just saw it as something I did for fun. I never thought of it as a career. So I went on tour for a bit, and then I jumped off of tour and went to the Hallmark Institute of Photography and learned way more about photography, because at the time I was doing it for fun. I didn't know anything about it. I was just shooting on auto and kind of getting what I got. So I learned all the foundations to photography, shooting on film, all that kind of stuff, and lighting and editing and all of that. And I immediately left school and went right back on tour, but started doing more portrait work than just live photos of bands on stage. So then I started working with magazines, with record labels, with bands, doing their album covers, magazine covers, all that kind of stuff. And I've been doing that since about 2005 or 6.
I think everything happened for a reason, and it's now the time for the second question. How did you find your style, and what inspired you the most?
Being a fan of music, honestly. Like it could sound like a selfish reason, but the reason I started shooting concerts is because I love going to concerts, and I wanted to be as close to bands as possible, and get to see as many shows as possible. So being a music photographer, you often get into shows for free, or even get paid to be there. And not every show is going to be your favorite show in the world, but getting to see music, getting to see musicians, I'd say music is the biggest inspiration. And then moving forward and getting to do more portrait work, it's the inspiration of these bands, their music, and trying to create together to come up with something really cool and really iconic for that artist.
For me, you are one of the best in the world. How do you feel about the trust of many artists and the acknowledgement of many fans?
Oh, well, thank you so much. I mean, I just do what I do, and it's awesome to get to work with the people I get to work with. It's insane. I grew up taking pictures out of magazines and putting them on my wall, and Megadeth, Slayer, Korn, Metallica, all of those bands, and now those are bands I work with, and people take those photos out of magazines and put them on their wall. So it's kind of full circle, and it inspires them to get into photography, which is really cool. I don't know. I try. I'm just a humble dude. I don't think of myself too highly. I just kind of do what I do, and it's just such an honor to get to work with the people I get to work with.
The next question, I think it could be the toughest question in this interview. Which artist are you the most proud to work with, and why?
So I have a couple answers for this, not a singular answer. My favorite artists, like the ones that personally to me are my favorite bands, are amazing to work with, such as again, the bands I grew up with on my wall, like Metallica, Megadeth, Abyss, Cradle of Filth, Korn, all that kind of stuff. But even more so the people I get to work with again and again, to the point where we've developed this, working relationship and friendship where, I'm friends with people like, Doyle, Christina, Wednesday, Ash, Maria, all these people who we love creating so much that we create as much as we can. It's not like we've done one photo shoot for an assignment and that's it. It's like we keep on doing these cool things and we can get creative and we can take our time with it. So I would say my favorite people to photograph are the ones I work with again and again and again, like, Maria Ashdoyle, Elisa, all of them. And then also the bands I grew up with, like Alice Cooper, Megadeth, Abbott, Cradle of Filth, that kind of stuff.
Good answer. Can you tell us the story of Daughter of Darkness book, and what is your goal with this project?
All right. So Daughters of Darkness started years and years and years ago, but the foundation started even before that. When I was a kid, I grew up going to record stores, kind of flipping through records when I was into black metal and, still into black metal. I would find an album that the cover was really cool, but I didn't know who the band was. And I would buy that album just based on how cool the cover art was. And at the time, the first band I got real into was Cradle of Filth. They were kind of my gateway band into black metal. And from there, I got into like Satyricon, Dark Throne, Lymphonic Arts, Luxicult, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of the bands, I would just look for a really cool cover, and that's how I would discover them. And that's how, with Cradle of Filth merchandise featuring a lot of nude women, a lot of the Hammerheart and the Black and Doom metal featuring nude women in these really artistic kind of photos, I was really into that. I was like, oh, cool. So this is going to be a good record. I'm going to buy it. And that was sort of the foundation of it. And then fast forward, 10 years, I'm a photographer, and I get an assignment to shoot a woman nude in corpse paint for a t-shirt design. So I shot the t-shirt design, but being that the model was a fan of black metal and I was a fan of black metal, I was like, dude, let's do more with this. This was killer. So we did a bunch of it, and it really brought me back to, seeing the Mother North video for the first time, picking up a Tristania record for the first time, or like Theater of Tragedy, or, anything like that. So I really, really dug the aesthetic of it. And I was like, okay, cool. So this is the first time I'm really taking my nude fine art photography, which I've been doing as long as music photography, and kind of combining it with the aesthetic of music photography. So I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll do a small project and do like, a handful of shoots with this kind of look. And then a year later, I was probably 50 shoots deep. So I was like, okay, so this is a project that's happening. And I wasn't sure where I wanted to go, if it was going to be some sort of gallery show, a calendar, a book. And the end result, I wanted it to be, over time, was a book. And so over the last 12 years, I shot it, and it came out last October, and it's finally out. And not only in the hands of people who, are into the aesthetic, but into the hands of the models who shot for it over the last 12 years, and the people who have known about the project for that long. And it's finally out, which is awesome.
At this point, what is the reception of the crowd?
So far, it's been awesome. It's been received very positively. A lot of people want more, which is awesome. Hopefully there'll be a follow-up. And yeah, it's awesome. I wasn't sure who would get it and who wouldn't, because when I was first shopping the book years ago, I would shop it to a fine art nude book publisher, and they would just say, nah, dude, this is too weird for us. It's too scary and metal for us. Our fine art nude, audience wouldn't get it. They wouldn't buy this. They're not into this kind of thing. And then I would try to shop it to maybe a metal publisher who puts out books of metal or even albums with this kind of cover art. And they would say, you know what? It's too much. Like doing one cover, doing one shirt, doing like a poster, that's fine. But having this much nudity, I don't know if we could do something like that. But then I found the publisher Rarebird, who are, fans of black metal, which is awesome. And they were like, they immediately got it. They were like, yep, let's do it. Let's make this a thing. Let's put this out. And it was definitely a stroke of luck to find them and to have them as into the project as I am, and to have them, not only just put out the book, but make it to my specifications where I wanted it a certain size. I wanted it this many pages. They really let me go all out with it. And they let me even do a soundtrack with it on vinyl, being a record collector, and it has like Mayhem, Abbott, 1349, Watang, Chark, Agrin, Rotting Christ, all sorts of bands that I love, which is awesome. And I got to pick the songs, which was really cool as well.
I've seen a couple of pictures, and I think it's dark but sexy. Do you think that some picture can shock people? And if yes, what is your words to prove that it's not so ugly and degrading like something can think about?
Well, I think the biggest part of the book is duality. That is the biggest overall kind of concept of the book, the beauty and beast. The fact that something can be evil and dark but yet beautiful, which is a very, very big foundation of black metal. You listen to bands like Cradle of Filth and Dimmu Borgir, and even not just the symphonic bands, but you listen to some of the raw bands like Darkthrone, and you get really lost in those riffs that just go on and like really bring you into that atmospheric black metal kind of feel. And it's kind of like, oh, this is really dark, it's grim, it's evil, but it's really pretty and beautiful. You know, it sounds awesome. And and same thing with the symphonic bands, even more so because they have the strings, the romanticism. And Cradle of Filth is very, very much one of those romantic black metal bands where it's, very vampiric black metal, very romanticized, and it's also evil and it's also dark. So having that duality of beauty and beast, of, beautiful woman in corpse paint, it kind of embodies that duality. It shows that you can have both at the same time.
I know you work with one of my friends, Molly Rennick of a Canadian band, Living Dead Girl. What is your workload with her, and what is your idea about his music project?
Oh, Molly's awesome. I've been working with her for a while. We usually have these annual trips where her whole family comes down and visits, and I'll do a photo shoot with her, and then we'll all go out to eat and hang out, and, her parents will go out and go shopping and stuff like that. And her band's awesome. The new music is absolutely killer. Have you heard any of the new stuff? It's insane how good it is. But yeah, it just worked out that, she came down, she shot for the book. The following year, she came down and shot, not for the book, but for other stuff as well. And we just became friends because she's awesome and a great person, great musician, great singer. And yeah, it's awesome to see her stuff coming out right now, like the band finally happening and doing their thing. The new music is absolutely killer.
To close, Jeremy, what's next for you?
I'm not sure. I'm waiting for the pandemic to get over. Honestly, I've been out of work
like
since,
a lot of bodies.
Yeah, like everybody pretty much. Actually, today is the 1-year anniversary of the last shoot I did before the pandemic. A year ago today, right now, Dave Mustaine from Megadeth was in front of me doing a photo shoot for the cover of Metal Hammer magazine. And I flew home that night. I got home around 2 a.m. and the next morning they announced, New York is locked down. This is a global emergency. This is a pandemic. And the touring world kind of stopped. And with tours not happening, my main thing is when a band's on tour, they'll come to the studio and do a shoot, or I'll go to them and do a shoot, and we'll do, an album cover, magazine cover, whatever else. So I'm kind of out of work until touring resumes, which was good that the book came along when it did because it took up last year for me. I'm working on another big project, which I can't announce yet, but it is also another book project, and, hopefully that will come to fruition. And I just got my shot, so hopefully soon I'll be getting back to some sort of photography, but I'm not sure how long it'll be till, bands start touring and things start to normalize, hopefully soon, as long as people are safe and smart about it.
Hope you the best. I think you can be very proud of all what you did before, and I think you will be proud of what you will do in the next year. So just to say, it's amazing to talk with you today. Your work is amazing. I think everybody have to watch your new book, Daughter of Darkness.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, if anyone wants to check it out, just go to daughtersofdarknessbook.com and they can pick up their copy signed.